is short, and we should respect every moment of it. With those words of Orhan Pamuk, it's indeed a pleasure to have you join us again on this week's edition of Crime Busters. You know what we do here. We discuss security matters, bring you interviews with security experts, and we don't end it without giving you security tips. My name is Desmond Nwachukwu, and this is a Diamond Communications Network production. I'll take a very short break right now, and I'll return in a jiffy. Please stay with us.
You are watching the Crime Busters. Security updates, no holds barred interviews, special reports, security tips. This is Crime Busters.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Crime Busters, and we are on to the security update segment of the program. This is the segment where we brief you of the activities of security agencies in Nigeria. On today's edition of the program, I want to start by telling you that the battle of supremacy between smugglers and the Nigerian customs again came to the fore in the course of the week. The man in charge of the Ogun Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service, Sani Madugu, briefed journalists at the Abeokuta office of the Customs on the achievements of the agency this week. Our senior crime reporter, Okpeyemi Ewulo, was there, and she filed in this report.
You are watching the Crime Busters. Security updates, no holds barred interviews, special reports, security tips. This is Crime Busters.
The Ogun State Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has over the time reiterated and affirmed its zero tolerance for smuggling. Among various items smuggled are used tires, which are said to be a major cause of road accidents prevalent on highways in Nigeria. Customs Area Controller Sani Madugu, in his interaction with journalists in Abeokuta, revealed the smuggled items while disclosing the new tactics of illegal importers.
Good number of seizures have been paraded to you last week at Idiroko. It is not a different story here in Abeokuta. The officers and men of Ogun Area Command are working round the clock. We are pursuing the smugglers. We are succeeding. We are seizing the wares. We are seizing the Tokumbo cars, or properly known as used vehicles. We are seizing the means of conveyance of the offending articles, that is, vehicles that are used in smuggling or transporting the smuggled items. We have a total of 6 fairly used vehicles, Tokumbo, that we have seized, of different range and capacity, different values as well. We have also 12 means of conveyance carrying rice, vegetable oil, and other assorted items. We have gotten so far, outside the ones inside the vehicle, we have about 600 bags of rice that we have seized, 40 cartons of spaghetti rice, 15 kegs of vegetable oil, in addition to other general goods that we have seized. The duty paid value of these items is put at 51,360,580 naira. The work we are doing is generating heat on the side of the smugglers. The smugglers are devising new means. We are always ahead of them. We are one step ahead of them in whatever tactics and strategies they adopt. Officers of the command and men of the command are not sleeping. Like I said earlier, we have divided ourselves into good number of shifts. Some work in the morning, some in the afternoon, others work at night. We are not tired, and we will not be tired of seizing their wares. They will continue to smuggle goods. We will continue to seize the goods. Used tire is a very dangerous ware. Dangerous items be imported into Nigeria or smuggled into Nigeria. Used tires are usually expired before they come into town. The prevalence of usage of used tire is the cause or the genesis of most of the accidents we record on our highways, because the tire has passed its usage time. Every tire has a time frame of 4 years. Some of these tires, they are 7 years, some are 10 years, some are even more. You can see the design on the tire can be very clear and very good, but the tire has a lifespan. After the lifespan, anything can happen to the tire. So it is important for people to know and be checking the date of manufacture of any tire so that they don't fall victims of such accidents.
The customs boss also reviewed the readiness of Nigeria Customs Service to clamp down on firms that defraud Nigeria by not paying their excise duties.
We are not saying they will change, but if not the de-excising of most of the factories, Ogun Command will generate more than enough revenue that you can think of. We will generate a lot of revenue in Ogun State if not the factories are not paying excise duties. I will not mention the name of the factories.
According to the area controller, Sonny Madugo, suspects to be charged to court after thorough investigation. Okpayemi Ewulo, reporting for Crime Busters.
You are watching the Crime Busters. Security updates, no holds barred interviews, special reports, security tips. This is Crime Busters.
We are on to the interview segment of the program. You remember that this is the segment where we get the views of Nigerians of great repute, security experts, and those that we know knows and should be able to educate us on security matters. Our guest of the program today is Dr. Abdulrasaq Balogun, the Executive Secretary / Chief Executive Officer of Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We engaged him and he spoke on quite a number of issues, national issues, the fund, and of course how to keep Nigeria as one. We started off by getting his view on the recent call for the creation of state police in Nigeria. Listen to what Dr. Balogun said.
I think the state police is long overdue. I mean, we must look at it from the perspective of the federalism we practice in Nigeria. I mean, the thing is, when people speak about pockets of issues like this, I mean, I wonder how deep people are in terms of how a country should be run, in terms of the federal structure we run. There's nowhere in the world where you run a federalism and people don't take control of their resources and their security and all other things that you may think about. I mean, look at it. Somebody steals a goat, right? You take him to a customary court in Lagos or a high court or whatever, and then you take him to federal prison. Federal prisons are meant for very serious crimes all over the world. So misdemeanors and things like that are supposed to be in county, local government jails, not even a state jail. So calling for a state police is long overdue. We will be able to police ourselves when we know ourselves. Let me ask you a question, as being familiar with Lagos. Are you going to tell me that last mile is not working in Lagos? Are you going to tell me that VIS is not working in Lagos? So this issue about a governor just has maximum of 8 years, 2 terms, and he would leave. Once you have a nice legal framework, right, that spells out the duties and responsibilities of these stakeholders, there's no way no responsible leadership would toy with that. And don't also forget, the leadership in any state is elected by the people. So don't always think that, oh, the players, the political players are more powerful than the people. No. We believe that if we take our destiny in our hands in Lagos, so for instance, we're buying equipment, we're buying this, we're buying that. Don't you think that if you had a structure in Lagos that we are actually supporting, how do you think the policing system of Lagos would be? It will be very fantastic. So nobody will be moved today. So you train somebody on a skill today and tomorrow is moved to Jigawa State. You lose that resource. That's the truth in a federal structure. But if you have your own structure, you can structure it in such a way that even to a very large extent, even the chief executive will have minimal. What's the fear? Fear that today you can ask them to go and do political. Who does that anymore? Nigerians are more sophisticated now. Now votes count. You can't use this kind of machinery now. And don't forget, if you send me out now in Lagos Island now to go and kill my people, isn't that where I'm from? Will I go and kill my people in Lagos Island? I won't do that. But it's very easy for you from anywhere else in the country to go and kill somebody in Lagos. You don't know him now. We are saying that we will police a community better. And that's why you see that the concept of community policing exists all over the country. But look at the structure we also put down in Lagos State. It tells you that there is so much to be done and that we will have a better country if we can create that state police vis-a-vis putting down a good legislation and the provision in the Constitution of the Federal Republic so that everybody knows their roles and so there are no overshots. I don't like to speak about comparisons about the US because those societies are pretty much very, very advanced. But again, we have reached a stage, 58 years of our independence. You cannot say you're too young to take your destiny in your own hands. I think we are old enough, we're mature enough, and we have men and women who are extremely, extremely brilliant and reasonable to put these things together in our country.
Now, security is said to be everybody's business, but in Nigeria, we tend to, drop every aspect of security at the doorstep of government. So we wondered if there is really any role that the people, have to play in terms of ensuring that security is entrenched in Nigeria. Again, let's have the view of Dr. Balogun.
Sovereignty belongs to the people. The people, the office of the people is more powerful than any elected office. The citizens have a very huge role to play. You find a police station beside you, an RS vehicle is parked in your area, you are doing a no-one-bed party. Is it so wrong for you to take some packs of jollof rice to go and give the police officers serving you and guiding you? These are things that we have to have this reorientation. And so when you make statements that, oh, those guys are not doing anything, you forget that when you are sleeping in your comfort zone, they are working under those conditions. Yes, you may say they signed for it. Yes, they actually signed for it. But does that mean that when you sign to serve your country, you must go and die? No. So these are the things I think people should start to, and I must say that you journalists have a whole role to play. Because the sensitization of mindset is very, very critical. People must believe that Nigeria belongs to all of us. And so don't look at government just came to do that road, so tomorrow you go and carry hammer and be digging the road. And when the whole place is bad, it's you that will pass that road. So please let us understand that concept. But in terms of security, based on this issue we're talking about, people must also realize that the police officers or the security agencies cannot be everywhere at the same time. They need the cooperation and the buy-in of citizens. So when you see something, you are in a building, you see somebody walking strangely next door, it's your responsibility to call the law enforcement or to escalate the information, because they cannot all be there. We're talking about keeping the city safe now. Lagos State is, proposing to do a Lagos State Security Summit next month. These are the things we're going to be speaking about. How do we keep this city safe? What are our roles in keeping this city safe? And then we're talking about we want the best equipment, we want the best facility. It's going to come from funding, from resources. How are we going to get the resources? We know what to do. We know the equipment our agencies want and they need, but some of them are just impossible. When you're talking about equipment costing about €5 million, $10 million, where are you going to get that from? When the state government has its core responsibilities of fixing roads, fixing schools, hospitals, and all that. So this is the irony of the whole thing, that the citizens have a role to play, government has a role to play, but citizens must understand that government belongs to all of us, and government is not just a human being or an entity, it is all of us.
Globally, Security Trust Fund is the means through which the people support government in government's bid to ensure safe society for all. The Lagos State Security Trust Fund was established over 10 years ago. There is a lesson for government across the country to learn from what Dr. Balogun told us. Hear him.
Well, the concept of this agency, I always refer it as a child of circumstance. This agency was created in 2007 as a result of the underfunding and under-resources of our security agencies in Lagos State. And the government at that time realizing that for us to have a meaningful progress in Lagos State and to enhance the economy of Lagos State, we needed to ensure that adequate security is put in place. And based on that, and understanding the fact that the security agencies in Nigeria are under the federal government, and particularly they are under the exclusive list of our constitution, government had to find a way of going around that to create this trust fund. And that's why it's called the trust fund. And understanding what we do here is that we're not a security agency, neither are we a law enforcement agency. What we do here is to act as an intermediary to source for resources, equipment, funding to help our security agencies in Lagos State so that they can carry out their responsibilities with all the wherewithal to keep us safe in Lagos. That's basically what we do here at the Trust Fund. So it's a child of creation. It was created by legislation. The House of Assembly passed it in 2007, and since then we have been, trying to bridge that gap between, the security agencies and the federal government, who have the sole responsibility to maintain and support these agencies. People key into those activities because, first of all, citizens realize that government cannot do it alone. Citizens also realizes that what we're doing is for the common good of everyone. It's not a question of whether it's not a partisan thing, neither is it a tribal thing. Security is common to everyone. We all have to be secure. As it is, donations are voluntary, so you don't have to if you don't want to. But we try as much as possible to continue to convince you, and also to showcase what we've been able to accomplish with the resources entrusted with us. And also we also render accounts on a yearly basis. We render accounts of our stewardship, and also our accounts of the trust fund is in the public domain. It's on our website, it's in the brochures, it's everywhere, and we ensure that international auditors audit us so that there's transparency and accountability. And I think with that, all Nigerians want is that they want to be sure that the monies or whatever they donate are not going into somebody's pocket. And I think we've demonstrated that in the last 10 years in this trust fund, that we're a very accountable organization and we're quite transparent. I also must say that apart from the donations of the private sector, Lagos State government is the most highest single donor to this trust fund. In the last 10 years, Lagos State government has donated times 5 of what the private sector has done. But the only thing the government has not done, the only thing the government does not do here is to donate cash to us. They only donate equipment to us for onward donations to various security agencies. And so I think when people see, the impact, because I must say it, this trust fund has been very, very impactful to the security of Lagos State. Because it's not just about asset acquisition. How about maintenance? How about training? How about boosting the morale of these security agencies? I think we've been able to accomplish that. So what we do here is not just distributing equipment. We train, we assist in training, medicals. You just name anything that would enhance their performance is what we do at this trust fund.
One question that we also sought answer for is actually how to keep Nigeria united, peaceful, and safe for all. I love what Dr. Balogun said in answering this question. I'm sure you would love it too. Listen to him.
The cohesion of this country is, in my view, very, very important, and it's so advantageous that we cannot afford some of these sentiments to divide us. But unfortunately, this is what it is. And people always say, for instance, now, so we're watching football now, nobody's talking about where you're from. But when it comes to issues of, who is the best person to run for an office, we start to say, is this one's turn, is that one's turn. I think it's very important that our leaders and the people start to preach this issue of unity and show it. So it's not out of place for me as a Yoruba man to be a commissioner in Imo State. It's happening in Lagos State. It's just happening in Lagos State. So why would you say that if I'm qualified, if I've lived all my life in Imo State, as a Yoruba man, I cannot be in the cabinet of the governor? That those are the things that preaches unity. And that's why you can see that the prosperity of Lagos is not only about leadership, it is about a state that has allowed everybody to have a stake here. So you find somebody who has a home in Lagos, does not have a home in the state, builds a factory in Lagos, does not build a factory in the state. It is when you allow people to explore like that. I remember again, as a Yoruba man, I went to school in University of Maiduguri back in the day. And so anytime I see any story about Maiduguri, I'm saddened. Because when I was there about 20-something years ago, Maiduguri was tagged as the home of peace. It was a very wonderful city. A city that embraced us as if we were one of them, and we are Yorubas. But now, look at what it is today. So I think what is most important is that we must try to go back to the basics. We must understand that first and foremost, we are all Nigerians. And we must realize that the potentials of this country is so strong and huge if we all align together. And so, for me, I believe that people always refer to politicians that they use it to divide us. How about ourselves? I think once we have that orientation, once we are ready to accommodate one another, I think slowly and slowly, and then our young generation growing up, we don't start to pollute their minds. Because I can tell you, these kids, when they play, they don't know who is who. They don't even ask. As a matter of fact, these young 20-somethings and below, I can tell you for free, they don't ask where you're from. They don't even ask what your father does, like we used to ask back in the day. They are just friends, and they get on with their friendships like that. I think it's very important that we go back to those things and we try to preach it as much as we can preach. And the only way we can do that is when every part of Nigeria feels a sense of belonging and not a sense of marginalization.
You are watching the Crime Busters. Security updates, no holds barred interviews, special reports, security tips. This is Crime Busters.
We are still watching Crime Busters, and we are on to the security tips segment of the program. I know that some people has this challenge of making calls, very private calls, in public places like bar, public transport, and what have you. Why some are said to be doing it to show off, some others do it unconsciously because some people are naturally lousy and are not too particular, with the ways to make calls. There is danger in it. And so, last week we played you that clips, but on popular demand, we're bringing it back now. Please learn from it. This is Crime Busters security tips for the week. Watch it. I'll be right back.
Where you did now? Where you did now? You just get the 2.5 million right now. Okay, they come. My friend. Desist from making private calls in a public place because you don't know who is next to you. Remember, words have ears.
Whatever has beginning, like I always say, will certainly have an end. That's the size of our package this week. I want to thank you most heartily for finding time to join us on the program. It's been fun for me bringing it to you. I want to believe that you enjoyed every bit of it. I urge you to support this program. You can place your commercials, your advert, and of course I can assure you will get mileage for your money. My name is Desmond Wachuku, but please let the conversation continue from here. Take advantage of any of the platforms displayed on your screen and let's interact thereafter. Until we meet again next week, please remember to be on the side of the law. Remember, security is everybody's business. So you and I must play our part. Until we meet again in 7 days,